Hi, I took a gap year where I traveled around Southeast Asia, and I want to tell you today about a story about that gap year that I don't think I've ever told before. Did I ruin a blessing from a nun or did I get cursed? We'll see. I just realized that I got stuff on my shirt. It's okay. We'll see. I'd like to talk to you about these things over the next couple of minutes. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School. I'm the co-creator of Exodus Summit, and I help Black women take a sabbatical, bop around the world as a nomad, move abroad, house sit, all while embracing ease. If any of these things sound good to you, make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button. You can't mentally subscribe, you have to physically subscribe. I'm waiting. Thank you. And then turn on the notification, ring the notification bell, and you'll be notified when I post a new video or when I go live. Welcome. And hello, everybody. Hey, Joyful One. Hey, Jan Wig. Hey, Esther. Hey, Janet. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Donna. How's everybody today? I had a good time last week sharing a story I'd never shared before, so I thought I would do another one. Hi, everybody. Anything new going on? If you are new, please, you have to, one of the rules here is that you have to say hello, give the greeting, say hello. And if you're watching the replay, it's okay, you still say hello in the comments. If you're watching the replay, hello, friends in the future. I hope it's amazing. Say hi, okay? Say hi. I'm in San Jose, Costa Rica, and it just started thundering. It's rainy season. It's May 2024 as we're live, and it's about to start raining pretty heavily, but also just for a few minutes. I'm in Costa Rica and it's rainy season. So here, in San Jose anyway, rainy season means in the afternoon it starts raining and it rains until you have gone to bed. It rains, significant amount of rain and significant duration, but the heavy rain usually doesn't last. Well, I was gonna say the heavy rain usually doesn't last all that long, but sometimes it really does. Sometimes the heavy rain lasts for hours, but usually the heavy rain lasts for minutes, but the rain lasts for hours. So we're getting ready to start that. You might hear some thunder or see some lightning, but it's not going to be that bad. It's Thursday, and I haven't been a really with it person this week, so I'm kind of like, oop, it's the end of the week. Let me do some things. Yeah, so I just wanted to share some more stories. I'm in the process of gathering stories for my next project. And, I like the idea of like writing a book out loud and then taking things that you've already made on my YouTube channel and making that my next project, right? Right? Talking about something out loud, sharing it, and then figuring out now what needs to go into the next project, what goes into the next book. Kaya and Kayla's mom says it's been a little bad here in Texas. Listen, weather is crazy. I hear y'all are having weather problems all over the world, right? Costa Rica is getting rain, but a lot of places that are like Mexico, right, is supposed to be getting rain and is not. Some of y'all are setting temperature records already, and it's not even June. This is the kind of thing where you have to say it is what it is, right? For an everyday person, we have to just accept that this is how it's going to be. So this is a story that I've been thinking about because of last week's story. So last week I told the story of the time that I got a Tinder date, and I was in Bali, and he was spending his mom's life insurance, right? His mom had passed away in her 50s, right? And he was using the life insurance to see the world and also DJing to see the world. And I told that story last week. And I said that when I was on Tinder, I also met a guitar player somewhere in the world, and I couldn't remember where. It was Cambodia. In Siem Reap, Cambodia, I met a man who was a guitar player, and singer. He was a singer, I guess is really what he was. But he also played the guitar while he sang. He was his own band. And he was traveling around Southeast Asia, getting gigs from one place to the next. And his place came with the restaurant. He was performing at like a restaurant bar, and they gave him free accommodation and food. Not just pay for performing, but the restaurant had rooms above, so he got to eat there and he got the room above. So it was a pretty sweet gig. But this was in Siem Reap, Cambodia. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I've talked enough about Cambodia. If I was a person who still needed to be exist in the world on $1,200 per month, like I was in 2015 when I was traveling full time, I would be in Vietnam and Cambodia as often as I could, especially if the airfare, if I could navigate the airfare, right? Because getting there is expensive, but staying there, eating there, having a good time there, not expensive. And Siem Reap, Cambodia was a really cool place. Cambodia is Cambodia and Vietnam both are probably love it or hate it places, but they happen to be places that I really loved. So the story. So I, so the problem is I would like to share some pictures with you, but I really don't know how. If I pull up some photos and then share, because I didn't upload any pictures. So, okay, let me start telling the story and let me figure out if I can figure out how to add some photos. Boom. Can I add multiples? Do. Okay. This is Siem Reap, Cambodia. This is the Angkor Wat temple complex. There are temples in Cambodia that are really old. That's all I can tell you about their age. They're really old. This is a reason that people make it their business to go to Angkor Wat or to go to Siem Reap, Cambodia. People go out of their way to go to this place. Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider was filmed in this temple complex. And when I was there in 2015, they let you like stomp around the complex, right? I don't know if it's still like that, which is why I always advocate for traveling now because places change and rules change. You used to be able to walk in between the things at Stonehenge, and now you can't, which I totally understand. But when I was there in 2016, it was actually May of 2016 in Cambodia, you could just walk up all up and through the things. And so I walked all up and through the things. I took tours that included, I took tours and I got tuk-tuk drivers to drive me around. And also I just walked to some stuff from my hotel. It was a really wonderful experience. This is a picture of a different part of Cambodia that I think is one of the best pictures I've ever taken. So I just want you to see that. So, okay, now how do I get back to this? No, that's my screen. So Cambodia was a great experience for me, and ooh, and I don't know how to get back on the screen. Let me press this button. No, and I recommend it. Let me turn on. Let me just delete the photos or turn them off. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and in one of the temples. You go in, there's a nun. It's a little bit scary, but if you don't know, because I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't know it was happening. You just turn a corner in one of the temples, and there's a nun there, and she's sitting there. She's got a shaved head, a bald head, and she's just sitting at a little table. And I didn't really know what was happening, but I just walked up to her, and I handed her some Cambodian money. I can't remember what it's called. Handed her some money, and she said some words and she tied a bracelet, a wrist thing around my wrist, tied a cloth, like a handmade, hand woven bracelet type thing around my wrist. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's a blessing. I get it, right? I get it. I thank her as best I can, and then I leave. But I have a problem where I can't wear bracelets anymore. Ever since I went, we talked about this on, I think, Saturday. Ever since I went to the Great Blacks and Wax Museum in Baltimore, and went to the slave ship that's in the bottom of that museum. I can't wear things around my wrists. Ever since I heard the chains, you go down, it's at the bottom of the museum is a slave ship. And you hear the chains and you see the shackles and you see it, you hear it, it's there. And so ever since that day, I have not been able to wear bracelets or stuff. So I thanked her. I went on, walked out, and then I immediately proceeded to take my bracelet, slip my thing off. My wrists are pretty small for my body, but still, I can get tight things off my wrists. Right. Like I remember in elementary school, there was a boy named Kion who could put the little milk thing around his wrist. The thing that comes off of the milk container when you open it, he could fit that around his wrist, right? Anyway, I have wrists and hands where I can usually take bracelets off pretty easily. So I took mine off immediately and threw it in my bag, purse, whatever. I went on about my day. One of the things that I really love about Cambodia or loved about Cambodia was that I made friends. I got to meet people and have like a lunch date. I had a standing lunch date with a guy named Guy. He was black. He was from the U.S. I think he was from the Midwest, and he was there on some sort of missionary work. He worked in like some sort of orphanage or something. And we had a standing lunch date at this restaurant, at this place. I would go there, Guy would show up, we would chat, he would go back to work. I met a woman, and then I met the Tinder guy who was a white dude. And I had a couple of other friends in different parts of Cambodia whose names I can't remember. Guy's easy. Guy's name is easy to remember. And I think I still follow him on Instagram. But somebody else. And so I told one of the women, somebody I knew, who we used to meet up at a restaurant that had a pool, a restaurant that would let you use the pool. It was a hotel, right? But they had a pool in a restaurant. And I told her about it. And she's like, "Oh, you got a blessing from the nun." I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "Well, where is it? You're supposed to keep it until it falls off naturally." I was like, "Girl, I took that thing off immediately." She was like, "No, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You ruined the blessing. You might even have cursed yourself." It was a joke. It was fun. I mean, that part of it was funny. I was like, listen, I had to do what I had to do. I couldn't keep the bracelet on. I can't keep bracelets on my wrist. The whole time something is around my wrist, all I can think of is get it off. So I'm like, I don't think so. Everything is cool. Next thing, I go to Kampot, Cambodia, which I don't have any pictures on my thing, I don't think. Kampot is just a nice town on a river. Kampot is known for their black pepper or their pepper, Kampot pepper. And it's a place where you can get like pepper crab, like I don't know. It was just a really chill, laid back place on a river with beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and a whole lot of restaurants for such a small town. So then I go to Kampot and I check into this cabin type hotel, right? It's a hotel resort, very low end, very inexpensive because y'all know my accommodation budget was $16 a day. My accommodation budget was $16 a day. I was on $40 a day total. So I go and check in this place. I check in, there's a cabin. I don't have a cabin right on the riverfront, but it's a nice place and it's a beautiful view. And the restaurant in the resort was really good. And I go to sleep at night, and a black dog, comes and lays down on my porch of the cabin and sleeps on my porch. I think I'm the Black Cinderella. I'm a house sitter and pet sitter. I wasn't at the time a house sitter and pet sitter, but I've always thought I'm the Black Cinderella. Animals love me. They know me. They get me, right? They're hardly ever out to hurt me, except for wasps, which I think that's a universal experience. So the dog came and laid on my porch. I felt honored. I'm like, oh, okay. He's protecting me, he or she. In the morning, by the time I'm up and moving around inside the cabin, the dog is long gone. The next night I go lay down, go to bed. I hear the dog walk up onto the porch, lay down. I look out the window. There she or he is laying down on my porch for the night. And when I wake up in the morning and I open the door, the dog gets up and goes about their business. So I'm like, oh, this is protection. This is really nice. I appreciate you. I didn't even have any food. I didn't give the dog any treats or food or anything. I don't think. He was just around every day. Then when it's time for me to leave, I start packing my stuff and I put my clothes. Actually, no, the morning I'm leaving, not the night before, but the actual morning that I need to leave, I need to get on a ferry, to get on a bus, to get on a plane. Like this was going to be a serious travel day. I look at my sneakers and I realize why that dog has been sleeping on my porch. I had taken off my sneakers the day that I got there and had been wearing flip-flops the rest of the time and just walking past my sneakers at the front door, leaving my sneakers at the front door, walking past them the whole time. I go to put my sneakers on. That dog has eaten my shoelaces. That dog ate my shoelaces. Now I got to slip my feet in and walk around for like at least a full day of travel with no shoelaces in my shoes. And I was like, that's probably that curse. That's my fault for taking that bracelet off when that nun blessed me instead of keeping that thing around my wrist, like I knew I should have done. That was the curse. That dog came to curse me by eating my shoelaces. That's the end of the story, but I do want to talk a little bit about Cambodia as a travel destination. Mindful Moment says, surprisingly, I loved my time in Cambodia. It was beautiful for the most part. I feel the same way. I loved Cambodia because, number one, it fit my budget, right? It wasn't a place where I had to be like super stressed out about money. I could throw it in the bag, right? Yes, I want a drink tonight, right? So in some parts of the world, with my money, I'm like, I ain't drinking. I'm good. I can only have instant coffee. I cannot go out for coffee. In Cambodia, I was like, all of it. Give me all of this. So I really loved Cambodia for that reason. There was quite a bit to do, even in the small towns. Tinder was popping. My Tinder was popping in Cambodia as well. So it was just a place that I really enjoyed. I would not want to live long term in a place where I'm always going to be illiterate, right? And the Cambodian language, Khmer, I don't know that I will ever be able to learn how to read it or even how to hear it and understand it and or how to speak it. Same with Vietnam. So I'm not advocating for you to move to Vietnam or Cambodia. Yeah, y'all can hear it? Yeah, mega rain. It's rainy season, mega rain. It's about 2:34. So we'll have mega rain for a little while and then rain for the rest of the day. I'm in a condo. I'm on the second floor of like a building, an old building. One of the oldest, she said it's the second oldest elevator in Costa Rica. So yeah, so okay, so I'm naming off things that I loved about Cambodia. The cost of living, the Khmer people were chill to me. There are places where in Southeast Asia where I always stood out. In Cambodia, there were not a whole lot of Chinese tourists, and I have looking like this. I'm a Chinese tourist magnet. They will come, they'll stare at me, be in my way, in my face the whole time. I didn't have that in Cambodia. Um, it was just there's beauty, there's old beauty, and there's new beauty. It's not a place for people who like city stuff, but plenty of restaurants and places to go listen to music. I heard some really, really good music in Cambodia. I looked at my pictures a while ago, earlier today, and I was like, I remember that restaurant. This woman, Cambodian woman, sang a couple of songs in Russian because there are a lot of Russian tourists, not a lot of Chinese tourists, as many Chinese tourists, but there are a lot of Russian tourists. And she sang, and I was like, that. First of all, that girl can sing. Second of all, that girl can sing in Russian. And I met with a woman, somebody from this community there, who I didn't have this community yet, but we were both in nomadness, and we spent a day in the markets having a good time. Cambodia was a place where I made friends and had a good time and stayed within my budget, even though I was always sweaty. In Cambodia, you're going to be sweaty, hot and sticky and sweaty the whole time. The only time I really talk about Cambodia is when I talk about the experience with the work exchange, the workaway. But is the rain too loud? Can you hear me? If it's too loud, we can wrap things up. So normally the only time I talk about Cambodia is when I talk about the work exchange. But Cambodia was so much better than that. I had a bad work exchange experience. I worked for a French farmer who was in Cambodia, and I did some work exchange stuff for him, which is why I was always in the same restaurant at noon to hang out with Guy, because I needed the internet to do the work for the work exchange. I did writing, I did stuff for him in English. Um, Chanel says it's lovely. Okay, well, let me know if it gets distracting. I'm used to it, and I forgot that the microphone can filter out some stuff, but not all kinds of stuff. Okay. Okay, thank you, friends. Hey, Jace. Hey, Pilar. Hey, guys. Okay, thank you. It's a vibe. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, so what was I saying? I had such amazing experiences in Cambodia that it's always going to be a place that I recommend, but it's not a place where I would be like, you can live there. Um, but some people do live there. People do live there. People do move there. Expats, Americans, immigrants, they do move there. But I need, not you need, I need to be in a place where I can learn the language, and I don't want to be in a place where I'm always going to be illiterate. and never be able to communicate in their language. So Cambodia. So Cambodia was a nice place, and I met fun people, and I had a really good time, and I would recommend it. If you're going to Southeast Asia, don't skip Cambodia, especially if you want to do some Angkor Wat exploring, because I don't know how long that's going to be open. I don't know how long you're going to be able to just walk inside these monuments. I don't know how old these monuments are, but they're old. This temple complex is old, and I don't know what the experience is always going to be. But seriously, they just let you stomp all over it. I set up my little tripod, I had a little gorilla pod, set up my little tripod, took my pictures, as long as you keep, so you see I have my arms covered in one photo and not in the other. It was so hot that I would sneak periods of time without my arms covered. But most of the time, I did cover them because that's the rules. And then when it got so hot that I couldn't take it, I would sneak, sneak and take it off when nobody was around. So maybe that's another reason for the curse. But I had a good, I had a good experience meeting people. I wish I could remember the women that I met. I remember clear as day sitting in the restaurant with the iced coffee and telling her that I'm going to get in the pool. And she was a digital nomad, and she was just meeting me for breakfast. And she was going to go back to her apartment and go to work. But I don't remember her face. I can't remember who that was or how I knew her. And then the other woman from Nomadness, we met up and went to the street market. Not Andrea. As soon as I end, her name's going to come to me because she's still around. I still see her online. I still see her a lot. As soon as I leave, I'm going to remember her name. We hung out, went to the street market and stuff. Some of the best places, some of the most fun times are always, my favorite places are always places where I also met good people, right? So I can see somebody going to Cambodia and being like, this one, it's hot, it's humid, they eat bugs here. Because my work exchange was on a farm, on a cricket farm, right? It's hot, and people are always trying to sell you stuff because it's that kind of place where the kids kids, adults, everyone is, when you're at the temple anyway, or at the entrance to the temple, everybody wants you to buy stuff. And if I have some money, I'm buying it. I don't care. I don't care. Sure. Let me buy your painting. I don't care. But the places that always are like, oh, these were my favorites, also happen to be the places where I met people and got to spend time with people and make friends. So it's no surprise that Cambodia and Vietnam are at the top of my list because those were places where I met people and made friends. Not just on Tinder. Tinder was popping in both of those countries for me. But also just meeting black women on the street who would just flag me down and be like, you're black, I'm black, let's be friends for the day. Okay, girl, let's do it, right? Or guy was black, guy in the restaurant being like, you're black, I'm black, let's have lunch every day. Okay, let's do it, right? It was a wonderful time, a wonderful place, and well within my budget. I left Cambodia and got on a flight to Australia because I couldn't take the heat anymore. And it was cool. Must have been June and July, or July and August in Australia when I left Cambodia. That's their winter, so I needed to cool down a little bit. Nia G says, I was definitely surprised at how open Angkor Wat was and being able to just walk everywhere and touch everything. Girl, I'm like, I don't know how much longer this can last. This is not sustainable, right? This is not sustainable, but I really, really appreciated it. I appreciated being able to be there and be able to walk among those places and just sit. I know my pictures show me up doing things, but a lot of my time inside of those temples was just me sitting, listening, thinking, whatever my version of meditation is, which is like just thinking about something, right? Being able to just chill in a place. The temple complex is so big that even though it's a major tourist attraction, you can sit in quiet. You can, right? You can find places where you can just sit in quiet. So I really appreciated that. Kat is Rebloom Room, and she says, do you have any travel tips for first time visiting Asia? I'll start with a visit to a good friend in Thailand. That's amazing. So I'll say that Southeast, or Asia in general, but Southeast Asia in particular, it's so easy to get from place to place. Flights are cheap. There are ferries, and sometimes there's overnight buses and whatever. So make Normally, I'm like, get somewhere and stay there and sit down and relax. But in Southeast Asia, listen, do it up. Go from place to place. Visit a few different places. I don't mean rush and visit 6 cities in 8 days, but I do mean get a couple places under your belt, even if it's just inside of Thailand. How long are you going to be around? But for anybody, if you're going to Southeast Asia, go ahead and do the circuit. There's like a circuit that tourists do it. Jump on somewhere and jump off somewhere. If people are talking about going to this next city, just go. Right? If they're going to the next town, just go. The only place I skipped was Laos, the Lao Republic, or Laos. We call it Laos, but It's Lao. I skipped Laos, and I kind of regret it. I could have done a day or two in Laos. Actually, I don't regret it. But you know, I skipped Laos, but and then I spent a lot of time in some other places. So take your time, but visit as many places as you can in that period of time. Eat whatever, eat it all. If you find something that you like, eat it every day. It's okay. That mango sticky rice in Thailand, I ate it every day. I don't care. I don't care. It's sweetened condensed milk and rice and mango. I'm eating it every day. Um, Go to the markets, go to the night markets. Yes, they're full of tourists, but they're also full of local people, and the food is also delicious, right? You're gonna get a whole lobster for a couple dollars. You're gonna get whatever it is that you eat. Or cat, you're probably closer to vegan. Whatever it is that you eat, you're gonna get it there. Go to the night markets, find out when the night markets are in your town, and go. Some places have a night market all the time. Some places have a weekly market. Whatever it is, go. Um, if you like fabric and stuff, find somebody to help you find good fabric. I'm a person who likes to go places and buy fabric, even though I know I'm not going to do nothing with it. I do have a full on, like, Rubbermaid container of fabric in my parents' closet. I don't know. But if you do, I did not and do not know how to pick good quality fabric. So I would say if you're going to buy some fabric or buy something, get somebody who can help you find the good stuff, the quality stuff, not the tourist grade stuff. Asia, 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 Asia. If you want to date, get on Tinder or whatever. Get on Tinder or some other app. If you want to date, do it. Uh, Pre-COVID, it was popping. I don't know if it still is, but it might be. And there are other travelers there who are coming and going, so it's easier to meet up instead of just ending up with a bunch of pen pals. Asia, Asia, Asia. You can stay in really inexpensive accommodation. Don't be afraid of the cheap places in Asia. I still looked it up, and actually, Queen of the District or Queen of DC is in Vietnam. See if I can figure it out really quickly. And she just posted about her favorite guest house, and I looked at it and I was like, this is probably about $20 a day. And I looked it up, and it was $22 a day, and it's a full-on hotel guest house type thing. So don't be afraid to. Queen of the District on Instagram is in Sean is in she's in Vietnam. I'll link to her here. But don't be afraid of the really, really inexpensive accommodation. That's Asia, okay? It's Asia. My budget for accommodation back then was $16 per day, and there was no problem in some places. In Cambodia, no problem. You can get a full hotel room. Now, I'm not talking about hostel. I'm talking about full hotel room for less than that, $12, $15, $16. It's probably still close to that, so don't be afraid to that. I'm trying to think of good advice for Asia because we don't. It's been a while since I've talked about it because it's been a while since I've been to Asia. Um, yeah, eat all the food. Eat all the food. There's still stuff that I got in Vietnam that I never have been able to have again. I think it's bún cha. Bún cha. There's like seafood pancake type thing. I've never been able to see that on any menu in any Vietnamese restaurant ever again. Um, yeah, but do go around if you have some time. Don't be afraid to hop on a overnight bus or whatever and go to the next city in the next country. See some stuff. As far as airlines go, no, though, Southeast Asia's airlines are not safe enough for my liking. So go to airline safety ratings and make sure that they're at least a 6 out of 7 in safety. And I think they do a 6 out of 7. Don't just book with any airline in South. Southeast Asia. Go to airline safety ratings, airlineratings.com, airlineratings.com, and check out the rating. I only book with airlines. I do this for every place, not just Asia, but Asia is the place where you really need to check. Okay, you really need to check in Asia. But you want to make sure that they have at least a I'm trying to pull it up right now. The internet is usually really good here, but right now it's like we're gonna move pretty slowly. Okay, you'll be all right. You want at least a 6 out of 7 on, you can do it. Okay. You want at least a 6 out of 7 on on safety and a 6 out of 7 on product. That's my rule. I don't know why I couldn't figure that out in my mind, but yeah, you want at least a 6 out of 7 on safety and product. Okay, that is my thing for these Southeast Asian airlines because they're going to jam you in there. Those airlines, it's not much different from riding a bus. In Southeast Asia, you'd be like, this is all the safety precautions y'all have. Y'all ain't got no security precautions in this place. Everybody, anybody can just walk up to this plane, right? Like, so check some stuff out. Um, Yeah, check some stuff. Do I like Air Asia? So my experience with Air Asia was so, and then also these airlines, Asian airlines, everything is cramped. Things are much, much smaller than you're used to, and I'm much bigger than the average Asian person. I took one pretty long flight on an Asian airline, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'll break this trip up and go on smaller before I'll take a long flight on an Asian airline. When I flew to Australia, I went on the Australian airline. I can't remember which one. Jet something. Jetstar? Does that? I don't think it's Jetstar. But so Air Asia. I think I flew Air Asia most of the time that I flew. I did a lot of buses and ferries. Okay, but I think I probably if I flew 4 times, I flew Air Asia 3 times or two or 3 times. So they've met my let's look them up now. They met my requirements then. This was again 2015 and 2016. They met my requirements then. Let's see if there's still a 6 out of 7. How come I see Air Canada and not Air Asia? I don't recall having a bad experience on Air Asia, but I know that the seats are really, 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 really small, really tight, and it's not comfortable for anybody over, oh, there it is, Air Asia India, no, Air Asia Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. So there's a different Air Asia for each country. I know I flew Air Asia Thailand to get from, I think I flew Air Asia Thailand to get from Chiang Mai, Thailand to the Philippines, to Manila, I think. So let's see what their rating is right now. Ugh. 7 out of 7 on safety, 4 out of 5 on product. That's right. That's right. 4 out of 5 on product. So yeah. So I did fly them, and I probably would still fly them today. I don't recall. Like I said, this is 2015, girl. So I don't recall anything else about them except that I made it. I made it. Um, but most of the time, I went in buses. Most places, I went in buses because I moved pretty chronologically. I started, when I got to Thailand, I started in the south, near Phuket, Koh Samui, something like that. I stayed there for a couple of weeks. Then Phuket, and then I went up to somewhere else before Bangkok, and then Ayutthaya and Chiang Mai, right? Bus distance. And then I flew to the Philippines. Instead of getting on the bus and going to Laos, and then Cambodia, and then Vietnam, which is what most people do, I flew to the Philippines because I wanted to be there for a festival. And then I went up to Vietnam and then went to Cambodia and went backwards, right? Um, but yeah, I is the accommodation price an average. So as with anything else in the world, you can spend as much as you want, right? So just like there are $25 a night hotel rooms, there are $2,000 a night hotel rooms, right? So I'm talking about if you need to be on a significant budget. But I posted in my community tab here on YouTube earlier today. If I needed to be on a $1,200 a month budget, I would go back to Vietnam and Cambodia. So that was my average was $16 or my cap for accommodation in 2015 was $16 per night. I did stayed in a lot of hostels, but in Vietnam, $16 a night was enough for a full hotel room. I went to, what is that part of Vietnam with the boats? I know that's not helpful. The place where you go around the islands. Instead of getting on the boat and doing the tour where you go in between the islands and stuff in Vietnam, I just got there. I took a ferry and stayed there on the island, and I booked a hotel room. It was during Tet, which is Vietnamese, the holiday, the New Year, and like the combination of Chinese New Year and some other things. And I booked a room for somewhere around $16 a night, and I had 3 beds. I had the huge room on the front of the hotel. It was kind of funny, the way it was divided up. It was kind of funnily divided up. I got the biggest room with 3 beds. I got a full, like, two directional view, right? I got, maybe 3 directional view of the bay, right? Like for that amount of money. But you can spend hundreds of dollars. So I'm not saying that everything costs that little, but I'm saying that you can be there on a small budget. You can be in Vietnam and Cambodia on a very small budget in 2015 and 2016. And I assume that prices there have increased just like prices here, but not crazy, right? Air Asia is strict. This is important, L Fox. Air Asia is strict with bag size and weight, so be mindful. That's right. That's right. I always paid. So back then I was traveling with carry-on only. Well, by the time, so some of my flights, so I ditched a lot of stuff and changed out my suitcases in the middle of my trip, my gap year. I went from not being carry-on only to being carry-on only kind of in the middle. But some of my time I had to pay for baggage, and some of my time I didn't. Yeah. Nichelle says, I flew Air Asia to Kuala Lumpur, Siem Reap, etc. Definitely small seats, felt like a bus in the sky. That's right. Seems safe, just need to check now. That's exactly right. It's a bus. It feels like getting on the bus, right? Uh, y'all not gonna check this out? Y'all not gonna, right? Okay. Okay. Hi, Mo Rivera. I stayed in Koh Samui. Yeah, I stayed in a nice hostel in Koh Samui. And I think that was my first stop in Thailand because I came up from Malaysia and I did Thailand like from south to north. And I think that's where I stayed. Halong Bay. Thank you, Cassandra. Halong Bay, right? So most people go to Hanoi, Vietnam, and then they take the tour of Halong Bay where you get on a boat and you spend a couple of nights on the cruise and you cruise the Halong Bay and you're in between the whatever they're called, the islands and the formations and stuff. And it's beautiful. Vietnam is beautiful, that part of Vietnam. But I didn't want to do it for some reason. I don't know. For some reason, I just didn't want to do that tour. So I took a ferry instead to Halong Bay, got out, went to a hotel. It was during Tet. And I don't know if maybe I just couldn't get a ticket. It might be that it was just a busy period and I couldn't get a ticket. So I just went to a hotel, family run place, and stayed in the hotel on Halong Bay. Still had the views. I took a whole bunch of really nice pictures. This was this was after I drowned my phone, so I should still have those pictures somewhere. Most of my gap year is divided up into old phone and new phone. Old phone locations, I don't have a lot of pictures of them because I wasn't backing up to the cloud. But the new phone locations, I do have pictures, so I should still have those pictures somewhere. But yeah, Halong Bay, nice place. Oh, Nichelle said she was just checking prices in Vietnam yesterday. Still very inexpensive, even for nice hotels. Listen, I'm so serious. If you can get the airfare together, right? Because I'm not saying it's going to cost you $100 to get there. It's going to cost you, right, it might cost you $1,000 to get there. But if you need to be somewhere, if you needed to spend 6 months or a year on a $1,200 per month budget, that's where I would go. I would go to Southeast Asia, right? Vietnam let me stay for 60 days, I think. And then I left and came back without any special stuff. Vietnam, you have to do a little you had to do a little digital thing, fill out a little digital visa application, but it was no big deal. I don't remember how many days I got in Cambodia, but I think it might have been 180 days on that tourist visa. Cambodia, how many days on a tourist visa? If you can deal with heat and humidity, oh, it says 30 days. Oh, disregard. It says 30 days. In Thailand, I actually renewed my tourist visa. I was moving so slowly that I was there longer than my visa was good for. So I went into the office in Chiang Mai and renewed my visa. Thailand and in the Philippines, I renewed my tourist visas very easily. It eats up a full day of your life. You go into the office in the morning, you sit for hours, they call you up, and then at lunchtime you leave, and then you come back at the end of the day and it's over, right? And there's your visa, your tourist visa. I renewed my tourist visa in those places. I feel like I got more in Cambodia, but you know what? I got to Cambodia. I think Cambodia is a place where it's different if you go in on a bus or you go in on a flight, there's a different number of days that you get. I'm pretty sure I got to Cambodia on a bus from Vietnam. I kind of remember the process of the bus, getting off the bus and walking over to the agent, getting, at the border. And I feel like I got more than 30 days because I was definitely there for more than 30 days. And I'm not a visa overstayer, but on purpose. I did overstay one place on accident one day, but I'm not a visa overstayer. Hi, Marcia. Have I considered living in Southeast Asia? No, only in Malaysia. Because I need to be in a place where I can read their language, where I can learn to speak and understand and read the language. And far as I know, in Southeast Asia, Malaysia and Indonesia are the only places where I have a shot. Bahasa Malaysia and Bahasa Indonesia use characters that we recognize, and they're very easy for English speakers. Years ago, when I was in the Army, I was looking into the Foreign Service, and I was advised to learn Bahasa Malaysia because it was a gateway into the Foreign Service or passing the test or something. I don't know, something. It's a language in Southeast Asia that English speakers can learn. So I did consider when I went on that gap year, when I got on that plane to go to Southeast Asia, I expected that I was going to like Malaysia enough to want to stay there. Turns out I really could not deal with the heat and humidity, and I didn't know that. I'm used to being in Delaware where in summertime it'll be like 90 degrees and 90% humidity. And I'll be like, all right, this sucks, but whatever. Or Texas. I was in the Army in Texas in it used to be called Fort Hood. Its name changed to something. You're supposed to start using the new name, but I can't remember what it is. In Texas, right? And it's 95, 90% humidity. And I was like, well, I'm going to Malaysia. It says 98 degrees and 90% humidity. I know what that feels like, but I was wrong because humidity is relative to that place, right? 90% humidity in Texas is not 90% humidity feels like in Malaysia. It could be the exact same temperature, exact same percentage of humidity for the place, but it felt like Wanda Duncan from the Black Women Travel podcast said, it feels like you live on the surface of the sun. I just couldn't deal with it, right? I'm too old to be sweating all day. I can't do it, right? I just broke out into a sweat now, right? I don't want to feel like this all day. This was before the perimenopause, right? so and in Malaysia is full of Chinese tourists and Malaysia is full of Chinese people, nationals. And it was just a place and full of people who just stared at me all the time, where I was never going to like it. I was never going to like Malaysia. Once I got there, I realized I was always stared at and always on display. Whereas in Cambodia, didn't nobody care about me. I mean, they would recognize that, oh, look, there's a Black person, right? But it was not like, there's a difference, right? Here in Costa Rica, nobody cares, right? There are Black people here in Costa Rica too, so big deal. I couldn't, so those are my requirements, a couple of my requirements. I need to be able to learn the language and I need to not just be always feeling like I'm on display in a place. Even if it's not a Black place, I at least need to feel like people are like, whatever. In some places, people don't stare. And that's just how they are. They just don't stare. And in some places, people stare, and that's just how they are. So I don't think I could do that. Cassandra, I speak passable Cambodian, so it was nice, and then visited Vietnam. Great food. How do you speak passable Cambodian? Because that language, girl, them letters. I don't know if you call them letters. The characters. Khmer. You talking about Khmer? Girl, that's amazing. I would never. I can't, and I don't know that I could ever understand anything. In Vietnam, I tried before I got to Vietnam, after I left the Philippines, or no, like while I was in the Philippines, I was like, let me learn a little bit of Vietnamese. Let me learn hello, thank you, excuse me, right? And delicious. Those are my favorite words to learn in a language. And good morning or good day or something. They get you far. I never did learn how to say good morning in Vietnamese because it goes by what is your gender, which I'm fine with, but then like what is your age in respect to with respect to the person you're talking to? Are they of the same generation? Then you say this. Are they a male? Listen, are they a male of the same generation? Are they a female of the same generation? Are they a male of your parents' generation? Are they a female of your parents' generation? Are they a male of your children's generation? Like every single one gets a different greeting. So I was like, forget it. Forget it. I'm not learning how to say good morning in Vietnam. And that was the last time I put any effort in. Up until then, most of the countries I went to, I tried to learn something, right? In Thai, I still know delicious is aroy. Because when I would go to the little restaurant, little side stalls or whatever, and eat food, and I'd be like, aroy. They'd be like, oh, look at you. Aren't you so cute? Let me give you a free mango sticky rice, right? But I can't imagine. How did you learn? Did you answer the question? How did you do that? I can't imagine being able to ever communicate in those countries except for Malaysia and Indonesia. Yeah, Jace, I would hate to feel like I'm always on display. Yeah. So in parts of Southeast Asia, did not have that problem at all, and in parts of Southeast Asia, it was like I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving my Airbnb today. In Chiang Mai, Thailand, I stayed in that apartment for 30 days, and I mean, I stayed in that apartment for 30 days. I did have some friends in town, Reese and some other people. So every now and then I would leave and go somewhere. And actually, no, I wouldn't leave until the sun would set. Once the sun goes down, the Chinese tourist bus pull out of the neighborhood, and then I was free to roam about. Right, go to the market, go to the street market, get my. There, I liked that salad that was like, I don't know. Now it's hard to remember. Time is so funny because I ate that every day, and now I can't remember what was in it. Was it some sort of vegetable in a salad that I would eat all the time? And then I would go to one stall and get that, and then go to another stall and maybe get some chicken on a stick or get something. And then I'll go to the next stall and get the pancake thing, right? Just go from stall to stall in the same little strip. But I would wait until the tourists left because they were the worst. The Chinese tourists in Thailand were the most annoying, but I also ran into awful Chinese tourists in Vietnam and I guess that was probably in Malaysia, right? Yeah, yeah. So we're talking, hi Carol. Yeah, we're talking about living in a place. So relying on a device to translate when you travel, do it. And when you're new to a place. But I do think I don't want to live in a place where I can't communicate with people. I can't imagine what that's like, ever, right? Never being able to communicate with people. So yes, I do that. I translate all the time. Even here, where my Spanish is okay. Like, I can do daily things in Spanish as long as the people are okay with me saying, más lento, por favor. Slow down, okay? Mi español es muy mal. That's what I'd be like. It's muy mal. And they'd be like, no, you don't say muy mal. You say whatever. They correct me every time, but I say muy mal because I think they always smile and laugh when I say it. But I can't, yeah, I wouldn't want to, we're talking about could you live in a place? I love, love, love Cambodia and Vietnam, but I couldn't live there because I would never be able to read, right? Right? Imagine being in a place where it's just you and there's some urgent sign. You walk into your apartment building and there's some urgent sign, right? I just walked into a hotel New Jersey, and they were like, Legionnaire's disease in the water. Okay. Now imagine walking into your apartment complex in Cambodia and you can't read that sign, right? They telling you don't take a shower if you're over 50, and you don't know because you can't read the sign. Yeah, so I'm not saying so, and then yeah, so I see Duolingo is good for language learning. Yes, okay, but we're talking about look up Khmer letters and Vietnamese letters and then listen to them trying to explain to you how to distinguish between this sound and this sound and this sound. Our ears are not trained or equipped to distinguish those sounds, right? I'm not saying we can't learn languages. I'm saying these are not the easy, these are the most difficult languages for us to learn. And I'm gonna do things the easiest way. So that's why Malaysia was on my list. Malaysia was at the top of my list until I got there, right? I'm not saying you can't learn languages, and I'm not saying you can't use a device. I'm saying to put yourself in the best, if you're gonna live somewhere, the question was, would you live there? Okay, I'm not talking about visiting. We're talking about living there. Christelle, out of Cambodia, Vietnam, and Malaysia, which one is most solo female black woman friendly? Cambodia and Vietnam are both pretty solo female friendly for black women. Malaysia is definitely at the bottom of the list, at the bottom of like the list. Even though I did travel Malaysia alone, it was just a place where people always stared at me. Men, there are a lot of Bengali people, Bangladesh, people from Bangladesh. And it's a place where they stare and they say rude things to you. You know they're saying rude things, even though I don't know what they're saying, right? And that is the part of the culture in Malaysia. In Kuala Lumpur, anyway, in the big city in Malaysia, that is the culture. So Malaysia's at the bottom of the list. Cambodia and Vietnam are both pretty easy and safe and black woman solo traveler friendly. I don't think you need to rank those two. I think they're both one and one. For a place to be solo traveler friendly, I think you need things to do, right? Because it's as a solo traveler, you want things to do, stuff to do. You want good restaurants, right? That's what makes a place solo traveler friendly. And safety. You want to know that people aren't going to be following you around. Now I'm 5'9", and when I started that sabbatical, I was a size 18 or maybe a 16 by the time I got to Cambodia, maybe a size 16 and 5'9" and change. So what feels safe to me might be different from what feels safe to you. But those were places where like people are out at night. Women are alone, out walking at night, walking home, walking to work, walking here, walking there, right? If they're doing it, I'm doing it. So they're safe, period. I don't think we need to qualify that. I think they're safe. Yes, they're safe, and that means they're safe for solo travelers, they're so safe for black women. Yeah, long as you can avoid the tour buses. I'm so serious. If you see a tour bus with Chinese characters on it, change your plans for the day, okay? Change your plans for the day. You're not going to have a good experience, okay? You're not going to have a good experience. Yeah, they're different. They're different language. It's different, right? I wouldn't want to be in a place where I'm not going to be able to communicate. I don't, right? Yes, we use devices to translate, and yes, we can use people to translate, but I don't want to live. We're talking about living in a place. I don't want to live in a place where I'm always going to have to rely on that. Whereas in Espanol, yeah, see, yo hablo Espanol. I just be talking. Right? Give me extra ketchup. That's it, right? Okay. In Kuala Lumpur, I didn't even use the pool because I didn't want to risk more stairs in a swimsuit. Yeah. Could not stand Kuala Lumpur. Couldn't stand it, right? I took all these long and heavy clothes because everybody said be covered up in Kuala Lumpur. Long maxi skirts, which I promptly ditched when I got to Thailand, right? Maxi skirts and long sleeves, or at least like a elbow sleeve shirt. This was 2015. There were a lot of elbow length shirts out there. All these heavy clothes, I'm all fully covered, and still the men are super gross, just terrible. And then I happened to have, my first day there happened to have been a holiday, but nobody was at work. Everybody was out in the streets. I turned myself around and went back into my hostel, right? I'm like, F this place. Changed my whole itinerary because my plan was to stay in Malaysia first and then travel to Thailand later. I left Kuala Lumpur, went to Penang for a couple of days and promptly left Malaysia altogether. Now I did go back to Malaysia at the end to fly out from Kuala Lumpur, and that time I went to Malacca, Malacca, and it was a smaller town, more tourist focused, and it was a better experience leaving. But Malaysia has some pluses, right? Malaysia has high speed internet. The cost of living is nice and low. You can learn the language. They used to have a really generous visa program for people with U.S. passports or certain passports. I don't know if that still exists, but whatever. Carol says, "Don't let the stairs bother you. You're probably the first Black person they've ever seen." That's easy to say, but nobody wants to walk out of their door and be stared at all the time, right? It's easy to say, don't let the stairs bother you, but they're going to bother you sometimes. Even if they don't bother you all the time, they're going to bother you sometimes. You're just going to be annoyed. Nobody wants to be stared at as if you're a zoo animal all the time. I don't care. I don't care. Maybe you look different. Maybe in Asia, you look less Black than I do, right? Maybe in Asia, you look less other than I do. But in Asia, I'm not going to live my life like that, right? I'm not a zoo animal. I'm not on display. I'm a person going about my day. I don't care if it's a cultural difference. I don't care. I'm not going to live like that. And I'm not going to recommend that other Black people live like that. I'm not going to, I sat in a restaurant in Chiang Mai eating my food, and a Chinese man came and sat up his tripod in front of me and his camera and took pictures of me. I'm not living like that. And I'm not telling other Black women that they should just get over it. Don't let it bother you, right? We're not doing that. We are living lives, we are making ourselves the priority and not other people's comfort. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Most people want to communicate but can't. I learned to read, write, and speak Korean. I don't really care about people's motives for why they do the things that they do. I care about do I like it? Do I want to deal with it? I don't want to deal with it, right? It doesn't matter to me what their motives are. They haven't seen a Black person before, or they think I'm the most beautiful person in the world. It doesn't matter to me why, right? What matters to me is I don't want to live that way. I don't want to have to plan my day around the people, right? I'm hungry, but I can't go to eat right now because if I go right now, everybody's going to stare at me. I need to wait till the sun goes down. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, right? I'm not doing it. The question was, would you live there, not would you visit there, right? There's a different, I'm not doing it. Girl, the workers were like, what do we do? Do we help her or do we not help her? R1M1, while in Bali, a whole group of Chinese people saw my friend and started calling her Wakanda, I guess due to the style her locks were in, right? It doesn't matter to me what their motives are. It doesn't matter to me if they meant it out of love and admiration and appreciation. Nobody wants to go through their day or their life being singled out and as being different. No, but I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I think I'm beautiful. We talk about vanity a little bit, but you may not understand how vain I am. I think I'm beautiful. And I don't see a difference between the way people would greet me and how they would greet Beyonce, right? And still, I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want people always staring at me and looking at me and whatever. There are places in Asia where that didn't happen. In the Philippines, they'd be like, hello, sister, and then go on about their business, right? In the Philippines, they totally saw that I was a Black person, greeted me, and went on about their life. I didn't get stared at a whole lot. I got some compliments, Pretty much any day I would leave, I would get a compliment no matter what I looked like that day. But not zoo animal, right? I thought the whatever was extinct. What is the animal I just found out is a real animal? I thought it was that's a real animal, right? I don't want that to be my life experience. It doesn't, I don't care what their motives, I don't care why they're doing it. I don't want to live like that, right? And it's not my, I don't have to. I don't have to. But in Southeast Asia, boom. I mean, in the Philippines, boom. Wasn't no thing, right? I'm a black woman. Hey, hello, sister. Literally every day, somebody would say, hello, sister. And then I would go on about my life. And I went to some very small islands in the Philippines. We're getting off topic. Philippines is a different subject. I went to some very, very small islands in the Philippines. Just got on a ferry and went. And never felt like, oh, here we go. Not one, I can't think of one time. I don't remember one time in the Philippines. From Manila, which is a city that I would skip Manila to the beautiful islands, to Cebu, like the tourist places, Palawan. I went to the a couple of places that were popular with surfers, something with an M, Moalboal, right? Never felt like that. Went to go rent scooters. I rented scooters on several islands in the Philippines and never felt that way. So, yeah, I'm not, I don't, yeah, we're not, yeah. I don't care. I don't care. I sincerely, I don't care why they're doing it, right? I care how I feel. I'm the priority, not them. I don't care if they've never seen a black person before, which is a lie, because they can sing black music. How you know Rihanna's songs, but you don't know black people, right? I don't care what I'm the priority. On this here channel, black women are the focus and black women are the priority. And this is not a place where we tell black women to stifle their feelings or their desires or their wants to appease other people. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. Thank you, Kimani. I don't have a self-esteem issue. I am my grandfather's granddaughter. You ain't got to worry about that. Crystal said they called you Nikki in Marrakesh. I got Michelle Obama and Serena Williams. I always get Serena Williams. I got Michelle Obama. Hello, Obama. Oh, Miss Obama. Serena Williams. Yeah. Yes, so I do get stared at in general life. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, Dover, Delaware. I'm from Newcastle, Delaware. But, right, I've lived in Wilmington, Middletown, Dover, Frederica, Felton, right? I get stared at in Delaware, right? So I'm not saying that, but not to that, there's not to that extent, not to the point where I don't feel like leaving the house, right? People just look at me, look at me, right? People do look at me, but there's a difference. There's a difference, right? I'm not the show. I'm not the show. Guilty on all counts. Right? I'm not the show. Nick Jones is the reason I don't like Manila because it's too busy. There's nothing. Manila is dirty. It stinks. I don't like Manila at all. The Philippines was one of my favorite times during that year. I spent at least 2 months in the Philippines. It would have been December and January. I had a great time and I met wonderful people all over those different islands, but Manila, skip it. It's it's unpleasant. It stinks and it's dirty. And it's the only place I've seen that amount of children who just live on the street, right? In little clusters of street kids. And it was troubling. It's like you go to the most expensive mall in Manila, because there's a lot of malls, right? You go to the most expensive mall, and there's kids right across the street who haven't eaten for days, right? It's just a disturbing place. It's a really, 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 really skippable place. Just skip it. Skip it. Go to the islands, they're beautiful. Go to any I don't even know if it matters. Go to any island that your flight will take you to in the Philippines. But skip Manila. It really just it stinks. Just skip it. Skip it, skip it. Yeah. So storm has calmed down. It's still raining, of course, 'cause it's going to rain for the rest of the day. It's rainy season here. It's going to rain for the rest of the day. But the storm has passed. The thunderstorms, the heavy rain, usually pass pretty quickly. But when it's heavy, it's heavy. Like today, I didn't close, even though I heard the rain coming and saw it coming. You could see it coming over the mountains. Um, I didn't get up and close the windows, but like sometimes the rain is vertical. It just like it's just throwing water into your house until it's done, right? When they talk about rainy season in San Jose, Costa Rica, it's on another level. I was in Puerto Viejo over in the Limon area of Costa Rica just a couple of weeks ago. Rainy season there was, and I was only there for 4 days, right? But there, my experience of rainy season there was every day it's going to rain for a few minutes. Might be in the morning, might be in the afternoon, but then it's going to pass. Whereas in San Jose, because of it's kind of a bowl. San Jose is kind of in a bowl, up high altitude in a bowl. Once the rain starts, it's not leaving. Okay, it's 3:20 now. It started raining about 2:30 ish, 2:15. When I go to bed, it's still going to be raining. That's life. That's life here. And rainy season is May to November. It stops in November and it just stops, right? Rains all of October, and one day in November, like it just stops. It's not like it's raining less and trickles off, or it's raining, right? Stops earlier in the day. It's just one day it rains all day, and one day it's just over. It's the strangest, most predictable thing that I've seen. It's like in South Florida how it rains every afternoon. Something about the wind and the mountains and the whatever, it's really predictable how it's going to go. Really predictable. Nichelle says, "They yeah, if you know, if you know, yeah, you know, yeah, whatever." Nichelle gets called Viola Davis. By people who see me, I get called, people who know, I get called Wanda Sykes, right? People who see me and know. But people in general who are just yelling out a black woman's name, they usually yell Serena Williams, everybody knows her, or Michelle Obama. I don't have any roots in Chicago, but I love Chicago. I love black women from Chicago. Some of my favorite people in the world are black women from Chicago. A couple of them are here. Hey, Kimani. A couple of them are here. So maybe that's what it is. I've spent a lot of time with them. I don't have any Chicago roots. My people are from Delaware and Florida. Have I ever visited China? No, and I don't have any plans to, no intention to. China and India are places I don't have any interest in. I think that I can get those experiences in other places, right? China, I can get some sort of experience like China-like between Taiwan and Hong Kong, and I don't think I need to go to mainland China. I don't like to go to places that are harder. The internet situation in China, especially as a person who still needs to make money to live, the internet in China alone is enough reason for me to be like, nope, not going. Not going to do it. I did have a layover in China at an airport for maybe 6 hours or something, and I was like, shit, I forgot. You can't use the internet here. It's like it's like a whole other world. I go all over the world. I pick up my phone. I open up Facebook and it's Facebook, right? I open up whatever and it's that. In China, it's not that. Everything is different. It's like another place. I don't have any interest in it. On top of it being a place that is not a place that is good to people in general, I don't. My experience with Chinese people is that it's not going to be good to me as a black woman, and it's just harder. I don't want to deal with the internet. But I think Taiwan and Hong Kong are places that I would love to visit. Ah, Lady Sarita, I get stared at when I say I'm born in Delaware. Yeah. Yeah, Wilmington is a black place, and our Delaware State University is an HBCU, right? Let's see. Yes, so the Costa Ricans just go about doing their business with excessive rain. They're so used to it. They have humongous umbrellas. You hardly ever see people with a little personal sized umbrella, right? If they're out and with an open umbrella, it's the big boy, okay? They got the big boy out. The motors, a lot of people transport themselves on motorbikes and motorcycles, and they all have a full body suit. They'll just pull over to the local overpass, put in that full body suit, and go on about their lives in the torrential downpour, right? It rains so heavily here that the runoff from the mountains goes to the roads, right? And so instead of having, what is it called? So you have the road, and then you normally have a buffer, which we call the space that's off the road. Here, they don't have that. It's the road, and it's a big old ditch, right? So you better not have to swerve to miss anybody, or you're going to careen down into a ditch. It's a big, deep ditch to catch the water runoff from the mountains before it gets to the roads or the hills, mountains, hills, whatever. Life is just built for them to be rainy for hours and hours, for years and for days and days of the year. They do things very early. So I think the rain is probably a reason why they're on such an early time zone, seriously, because I'm not all that far west of Atlanta, but I'm on mountain time, not even central time. We're on mountain time. Sunset's here at 5:30, even though we're so far down, right? We're down not all that far from the equator, not all that far from Ecuador. Sunrise is at 5 and sunset is at 5, okay? And they start things really early, and I think a lot of that has to do with, well, for half the year, it's gonna start raining at noon, so let's start our days early. Start our days early, get the things done we need to get done. When I stayed in the next neighborhood over, Barrio Escalante, there was construction on the house. Those men were out there working at 6 a.m., right? Like construction noises start at 6 a.m. Gardener noises start at 6 a.m., right? They're like, it's going to start raining 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So our work day is going to start at 6. Thank you. Okay? Get up, lazy bones. You don't sleep till 7 or 8 in Costa Rica. Are there any Walmarts? Yeah, there's Walmart here. Costco? No, Costco. What is it? Walmart and Price Smart. I don't know why I said Costco. Walmart and Price Smart. Yeah. Matter of fact, I need to get to Walmart. In the US, I hardly ever shop at Walmart, but here I go to Walmart quite often. I need to get some hair dye. It's time for me to get my edges together before my birthday. So I got to go to Walmart and get me some hair dye. Yeah, there's Walmart here and some really nice grocery stores, and then the regular street markets and whatever. Shoulder. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Listen, sometimes my recall is failing me sometimes, but yeah, there's no shoulder on a lot of the roads. It's a ditch, okay? You're not swerving and you're not riding on the shoulder. It's because there ain't no shoulder. Ain't no shoulder. Oh, good. Von Powell, finally got my veterans benefits. I'm ready to leave the US. Congratulations. That's good news. Okay. So I don't know how much you're getting. You're probably getting well more than $1,200 a month. But if $1,200 a month sounds good to you, I think you can still do that in Cambodia and Vietnam, which is where we started today. Yeah. They do have internet in China. It's just not the same internet. A lot of what we use is blocked. A lot of what we use, you can't use in China. They do have internet, but you got to be on all these other platforms to use it. Al Fox, do I know anyone who has traveled with a small dog? Right now, Kyoka is traveling. Where's Kyoka still in Europe or is she back home now? Kyoka is awkward black nomad, and she travels with 2 small dogs. And she's been traveling since I don't know when. I met Kyoka before Morocco this is her YouTube channel, Awkward Black Nomad. I met Kyoka in London, March or April of 2023, and I'm pretty sure she's still going. I saw her, she came again to South Africa in February 2024, and I'm pretty sure she's still going. She's heading back. I think she may be heading back to the US soon, but I think she's still traveling right now, and she's traveled with 2 small dogs, full-time traveler with two small dogs. And of course, Adelia, who's Picky Girl Travels the World, travels often with her small dog, or sometimes with Mia. I think Mia prefers to stay home. Picky Girl Travels the World. Adelia also has at least a video or some videos about traveling with Mia. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So African Dreams and Haze. China has that nice glass bridge. Enjoy it. Go take some photos for me because I don't have any plans to ever visit China. You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't got to worry about that. I'm more likely to have a list. I'm more likely to have a list of places I'm never going than a list of places I do want to go. The places I do want to go list is just like pretty much anywhere. Pretty much anywhere. The list of places I'm never going, that list exists. That list is China, India, Nigeria. You ain't got to worry. Right? I have a list of places I'm not going. I like easy. Cuba, I'm not interested in Cuba. Cuba's, I guess, not a never going, but Cuba is like, it seems like too much work and I don't want to do it. There's other islands in the Caribbean that I could visit, right? Another place where there's no internet, right? You can't really get on the internet. Can't really deal with the internet. I'm not going. I'm not doing it. I want the easiest possible thing. I want the easiest. Okay, good advice, Nichelle. So Kat asked for advice. This is good advice. Get a VPN. Yeah, so some sites are going to be blocked. So yes, get a VPN. Anytime you're traveling for extended period, anytime well, I don't know. If you run a business and you're traveling, you should have a VPN anyway. Because things like PayPal act really funny when you're in other countries. And they're like, oh, we can't log you in. So get a VPN. If you have a business and you need to make money while you're traveling, you should be using that anyway, right? Right? I'm not suffering for leisure. Hi, Habibi Jan. Hi. Yeah, right? I want the ease. Where is the ease? If a place seems hard, you best believe I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Right? I'm not interested in Cuba when the rest of the Caribbean is right there. I'm not interested. Nigeria just seems hard. You have to have, Nigerians always tell you, you have to have a local person with you. You can't go on your own, right? No, I'll just skip it, right? I'll just skip it. If I can't do things on my own, or even in a group of other women like me, I'll just skip it. There's too many other choices, right? Ghana is right there, right? I'll just skip it. Or Namibia. No, we're not Namibia. That's not what I was thinking. Cameroon is what I was thinking. Cameroon is a place that I would like to visit. And Namibia too. And I don't know, a lot of Africa. But no, you don't have to worry about me planning a trip to Nigeria, right? If there's another place that's easier, I'll go there. Problem solved. Problem solved. All right. And mobile hotspots. Yeah, you can use a mobile hotspot. If the internet is slow from Wi-Fi, then the internet might also be slow from the satellites. And so mobile hotspots are only going to do so much for you. I have a mobile hotspot. I have a Skyroam, right? And also sometimes I just use my phone as a hotspot, but it's only going to do so much. I wouldn't want to have to rely on the hotspot for business. I would want to be in a place where the internet works, right? Where the internet is fast and reliable. For the most part, if the house internet is slow, the phone internet is probably also slow, unless you happen to just be in a house in a place where the people have chosen to have slow internet, which I had here in Costa Rica, right? I stayed in Airbnb, got there and did the speed test, and it was like 4 megabytes per second. I was like, girl, this internet is the pits. She was like, oh, let me upgrade it. She called and upgraded it over the phone, right? They had chosen to have slow internet, and then they upgraded later. So, but if it's a place where there is no high speed internet, right? They just don't do it, then the hotspot is probably only going to help you a tiny bit because the satellite internet is probably also very slow. The phone tower internet is probably also very slow. Cameroon is nice. Hi, Jace. Cameroon is nice. Let me know, and I'll show you around. It's home to me. Okay, that's a date. We're gonna make a date. It's a place I would love to go. So a lot of places that I want to go or think about, I judge them based on the people that I've met around the world, and I've met some beautiful, some wonderful. I mean beautiful as in really wonderful people from Cameroon all over the world. Well, actually, three people. Okay, so all over the world I've met three people from Cameroon, and they were all delightful people, which makes me think that I would enjoy Cameroon. That's a lot of how I decide or how I like prioritize or organize, kind of, right? The Philippines, I had no doubt. When I got to Southeast Asia, there was no doubt I was going to the Philippines because them Filipino nurses that I worked with in those two hospitals that I've worked in, or I've worked in 3 or 4 different hospitals now over the course of my life. But those women were some of the best women. They were the most wonderful people, right? I'm like, oh, good people. I'm going, right? It's easy. No brainer. I'm going. I've met a couple of Dutch people who were really nice people. I'm like, oh, I'm going to the Netherlands. They're different, a different kind of nice. Good, as opposed to nice, I'll say about Dutch people. They're good people, right? Oh, I'm going, right? I've had good experiences with people from Cameroon. In Bali, I met a dude from Cameroon, and we're still friends. He's like a soccer player. He played soccer for a professional soccer player, not famous, right? But like a professional soccer player. Good dude. I'm like, oh, Cameroon on the list. I'm going. I'm going. Ghanaian people. I've worked with a couple of pharmacists from Ghana, 2 different pharmacists from Ghana. Good people. Them and their wives, their families, right? People who were kind and welcomed us into their homes. Being in the Army and meeting people from different parts of the world inside of the U.S. Army gives you like a different look at what people are like. In your normal life in the United States, your work friends are not your friends, right? And your work friends, you may not be going to their homes, going to their events, but when you're in the Army, yeah, we're friends, right? I go to the home, I go to your events. I went to oh my gosh, one woman, Grace, I just worked with, every now and then she'll post a picture of her daughter. I remember the baby shower. I went to their house for the baby shower. Her husband cooked the house down. Okay, that husband cooked, he cooked the little lumpia, he cooked the little rolls, he cooked everything, cooked the house down. Now that child is a grown up. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, right. So a lot of when I'm like, I'm interested in this and I'm not interested in that, a lot of that is related to people that I've met along the way, the friends you meet along the way, right? So yeah, places to go. There are more places for me to go than I've already been to, I think. But I don't feel the need to go to every place. And you don't have to. If you're a person who likes to do that kind of thing, do it. If you like to, listen, 60 countries down, right? I'm heading for 100. I'm headed for 250. Do it. But also, if you're a person who's like, yeah, I know Lesotho. I know I'm in South Africa, and I know Lesotho is right there, but I'm not going to Lesotho. I'm not taking the effort. Lesotho looks beautiful and beautiful. But you know what? I don't feel like it. I'm not here to check things off the list, so I have not been to Lesotho. I've been to South Africa twice. I've had rental cars of my own in South Africa 2 times where I could just swerve into Lesotho, check it off my list. But I haven't done that because that's not how I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that. I don't mean I'm not interested in Lesotho, but I'm not interested in going to a place because I need to check it off. Yeah, it's a different. So this is why when people are like, your work friends are not your friends, I'm like, well, actually, because I have had work friends who were my friends, right? I went to that baby's christening and ate everything and brought home a full, I lived by myself. In the barracks even. I think when I went to that christening, I lived in the barracks and I probably had a boyfriend who had a refrigerator. But I lived in a barracks with a little tiny mini fridge. I came away with a full foil pan full of food, full of the little rolls, the little egg rolls, the lumpia. There were 3 different things that I fell in love with there, and some desserts, the little jelly dessert things, right? I'm one guest at this christening or this baby thing. I don't remember if it was an actual christening or like a late baby blessing thing. I think they were Catholic. I think it was a thing. I am one person, and I came away with a full pan of food. That man cooked the house down. She would be like, we had a lot of potlucks in the pharmacy, is the thing. And when you work in a hospital, it's basically eating and with a little bit of work squeezed in. So she'd be like, oh, we're having a potluck. My husband will make this and this and this. Meanwhile, her husband was like an officer in the, he was an officer. He was enlisted. He was something in the army. Like he had a job. He was the reason they were in Fort Hood. But she'd be like, "Oh, we having a potluck on this day? Okay, my husband will make this and this and this." Okay, Grace, we wrote it down. We will be hungry. We'll be ready, right? We'll be ready. Yeah, it's a different experience. Yeah, Marcia was in the Air Force. My cousin Marcia was in the Air Force. Yeah, so it's a different type of experience. But it is a way that I have gotten to be in the homes of people from different parts of the world. The U.S. military is super diverse. And I've gotten to be in homes of people from all over the world where I wouldn't have any other way. Because I went to high school with some people. I went to school with some people from fourth to 12th grade and never set foot in their house. Right? And then I'm in Fort Hood for a few weeks and I'm in people's homes. Right? It's a different type of experience, but it is a way that I know, like, it's a way that I have an opinion on some people's countries, right? I knew I was going to like the Philippines. Even before I got there and they started calling me Sista, right? Even before that, I knew I was going to like the Philippines. As long as I got to a place that was pretty, right? Get out of Manila, get to a pretty place, I'm going to like it. They make sure you eat, right? She'd be like, my husband will make, she'd just be naming off food. And probably only 20 or 30 people on the whole shift, right, in the pharmacy. But she's like, here's 8 dishes my husband is going to make for this potluck. Nick Jones says her mom does that with her dad. Yeah, she was like, here's 8 dishes he's going to make. Okay, girl. We wrote it down. Okay, so I just wanted to talk to you about Vietnam and Cambodia because I feel like we don't talk enough about those two places, and especially Cambodia, because I only normally tell the story of the work exchange, which was not a good work exchange in Cambodia. But instead, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about why I liked it and why it may be worth a nice visit, especially if you need to spend some time on a budget, right? If you need to spend some time on, I think you can still do Cambodia and Thailand for 12, 13, $1,400 a month and not feel like you're like on a budget, not feel like you're traveling like a destitute person, right? So, yeah, that's it. How did I maintain my hair? Before I left for my sabbatical or my gap year, I made sure that I got off of. So I used to be specifically into certain products. I got to use this product for this, and I got to use this shampoo and this conditioner, and then so before I left, I made sure I just got on drugstore products. Right now, I have Garnier Fructis. Garnier Fructis is what I use now. I can't say it's any better than like Suave or whatever. I just use it because it's everywhere. And then I just add in olive oil. You can get olive oil or coconut oil or Jamaican black castor oil all over the world. I'm missing one. Avocado oil, right? Just add those into my products. Yeah, you can do salons, and there are black women who travel who set their travel itinerary based on here's a black salon in this city, right? You can Kuala Lumpur, there's black people there. Bangkok, I'm sure there are black salons in Bangkok, or at least somebody. At least there's one somebody, right? So some people would like, let me get my hair braided, and then I'm going to get my hair rebraided in Kuala Lumpur, and then I'll get it rebraided once I get to Bangkok, and then I'll get it rebraided in Vietnam. I'm sure there's somebody in Ho Chi Minh City, in Saigon, right? So some people do it like that. I did not. I just do this and bought my shampoo and conditioner when I needed them and used drugstore products. A lot of the drugstore products that we have, they're everywhere. It might be a little bit different, but the shampoo and conditioner stuff that you see at your Walgreens, you also see in the Philippines and wherever, right? So that's it. That's it. If you're tied to specific products from specific brands, then you know you're going to be checking a bag, right? And you probably will need to re-up. Maybe if somebody's going to meet you somewhere or visit you somewhere, you ask them to bring, right, some stuff with them to visit you. That's a thing that people do as well. But So I've given you three options. Number one, plan your itinerary around salons. I've never been to a salon outside of the US. Rashida just got her hair done in London. Rashida goes to a hairdresser in London. She's been to her a couple of different times now, right? So either plan your travel around some salons that you can get into or some hairdressers you can get into, or bring a bunch of products with you, bring a decent amount, and have somebody bring you some more when they come visit you, or get on the drugstore train, right? If you're okay with using Suave, Garnier Fructis, herbal essences is everywhere. Garnier Fructis is everywhere. If you're okay with using them, then do that. How do you travel? How do you have travel? How did you have travel to places where the water's questionable? So in my home in Delaware, in my parents' home, the water is also questionable. We Around the world, you live your life the same way. You probably, if you live in the United States, you probably don't drink water out of your faucet, and you're probably not going to drink water out of the faucet in a lot of the world. You're going to buy bottled water. You're going to use the filtered water from if you're in an Airbnb that has sometimes Airbnbs will tell you, here, I have a water filter and blah, 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 right? Same way that you handle water in the United States. We don't live, unless you live in Iceland or some parts of the Caribbean, right? You probably don't drink your sink water either. It's the same. Now, when you go out to a restaurant, then it's like, do I want ice in this drink or not? I'm always advised by people not to get ice in my drink, but you know what? I'm a rebel and I'm going for it. It's hot. Put ice in my drink. So if you can avoid ice in your drinks, you're going to be fine. Just like you don't drink out of the sink in your home, you're probably not going to drink out of the sink in other parts of the world. You buy bottled water. Let me show you. I have a favorite. In Mexico, I like the orange one. I can't remember what it's called. In Costa Rica, I like Alpina. I have it right here because I did some coaching calls back to back this morning, and I needed to be able to refill my cup over and over and over again. So this is my favorite in Costa Rica. You can buy it in a bigger thing and put it in a upside down like thing and like a fountain. You know what I'm talking about. So I've stayed in some Airbnbs where they do that. I stayed in some Airbnbs here where they have filtered water, right? Some Airbnbs where I buy a filtered pitcher. I bought a filtered pitcher at my last Airbnb and then flew out. Because sometimes I stay in a place for 30 or 60 days. So I've been known to buy a filtered pitcher. But the answer is, it's probably the exact same thing you do in the United States for water. The same way you get clean water in the US is the way you get clean water in a lot of the world, right? My parents look at me crazy when I drink tap water in Dover. I do it because, listen, I'm a rebel. You can't tell me. Also, I have a stomach that is just like, whatever, girl. Whatever, girl. You want to drink this tap water, go for it. But my parents don't drink that water, right? Same for you in a lot of the world. In the Caribbean, though, I was in Curacao and they were bragging on the water. Drink our water. We have some of the best water in the world. Iceland, I never drank the water in Iceland because we were there for 24 hours only. And I was in a hotel with just a bathroom sink. So I never got to experience, they have the best water in the world is what they say. That's what the airline, when you're riding on the flight, right, and they run their little commercials, that's what they told me. They had the best water in the world. I never drank the water in Iceland, so I got to go back. I had bottled water, we had bottled water on the flight. Every day at mealtime, we had breakfast, we had dinner. Oh, I might have had water at dinner. I had beer. I know I had beer. I might have had a glass of water at dinner. We had dinner, breakfast the next morning, and then we were back in the airport lounge for lunch. No, they didn't have we were Iceland Air. Yeah, we had a lounge, back in the lounge for lunch. Now I'm trying to remember, did I have actual Iceland water? I don't think I did. But most places, you're not going to drink the water. You're going to drink bottled water or filtered water or something. In Mexico, they'll be like, this is light filtered. There's something about the light and the UV and something. I don't know. But that's supposed to be the water that you want to drink. Your Airbnb or your hotel might very well be like, this is water filtered by light and something. And you're supposed to feel safer with that, right? That's it. Just like at home. The answer is just like at home. Just like at home. It's not all that different. The difference is ice. And ice is easy to avoid because in a lot of the world, ice is not a big deal. They don't even do it like that. And that's it. Josette has her own filter. You carry your own filter? Brita, I use the Brita thermos when I travel. Okay, there you go, right? I told you that. I bought one when I was here a while ago, but I didn't do it. So different places I've been in have had different tap water. This building is old enough that I'm not going to rely on the tap water for drinking. I cook with it and I boil it for tea, but I don't drink it straight. When I'm drinking straight water, I still get bottled water because the building is pretty old. If I were in a new complex here, I would ask, right? Is your refrigerator filter hooked up? And can I just drink that? Do you drink that water? Can I drink that water? That's the thing I ask Airbnb hosts all the time. Do you drink the water from the fridge filter? If they drink it, I drink it. Nichelle, I'm looking forward to going to Iceland. I'm going to do all the cold weather countries in one shot. Okay. It was beautiful. I'm going back. I know I'm going back at some point. It'll probably be a July or August trip, someday, 1 year. But I'm going back. It was that beautiful. Like, it was, I can't tell you. It was that beautiful. And the people smiled. In Europe, European people, they don't smile like that. They're not, they're not doing that. They're not smiling. But the people in Iceland, they smiled. They seemed pretty friendly, pretty happy. And it was just beautiful. I can't tell you. I'm from Delaware where everything is flat, right? I'm from a flat place. it I, the mountains, the waterfalls, the everything just breathtaking. We didn't go to the hot spring. We didn't go to the springs. You know what I'm talking about. We didn't do any of that. So I'm going back. This was just literally it was 24 hours. I want to say we landed at 3 and our flight the next day was at 5 or something like that, right? What is that? 26 hours. It was really, really a short trip. By the time we got there and went to dinner and went to see some stuff in the city, that day was over. And the next day we got up, went out, drove around, saw some waterfalls and stuff, drove around for a good 3-hour loop, and then had to go to the airport, right? But it was amazing. I'm going back. I'm going back. And Julie says in Seattle she drank water from a spring. Good. Yep, because you can't rely on the water from the pipes, right? Yeah, U.S. is not a place where there's safe water. I think that water fear thing is a thing that I'm like, where did that come from? Like, why are Americans so convinced that we have good water? Because you don't even drink that tap water. You don't even drink your tap water. Why are you so worried about going to Mexico? I had a woman, was she emailed me or she left me a message or she left me a comment on a video or something. She said, my husband and I went to Mexico and we couldn't drink the water and he ended up hospitalized for dehydration. I'm like, girl, they got 7-Elevens all over Mexico. They're called, it's not 7-Eleven, it's called something else, right? Buy water, right? People get so afraid of things that they forget to use their brain. Turn your brain on. You got to turn your brain on when you travel. Think about that. Think how that sounds to you. I can't drink the water in Mexico, so I'm going to end up in the hospital for dehydration. Girl, buy water. Buy water. You can do it. I know you can do it. I know you can. I know you can. She wanted me to tell people. I'm not telling people that because you look ridiculous. You look ridiculous. You and your husband look ridiculous. Buy water. So I think Rashida just did a good video on mindset and moving abroad. If you're thinking about moving abroad or going abroad for extended periods of time, a thing that you want to do is check what propaganda about the U.S. you're taking with you. Some of the propaganda, you may not really recognize as propaganda, but some of it you can, right? That water question, it's just one more question, right? The question about the water is just asking yourself one more question. So I heard that you can't drink the water in Mexico. What do I do for water here where I live in Delaware? I also don't drink the water in Delaware. I buy water or I filter my water or whatever. It's the same solution, right? It's the same solution. So a lot of the stuff that we was water back. Did I say it? Did I say it? Girl, I'm losing my Delaware accent. I'm losing it. We say water where I live. Oxo, thank you, Kat. Right. So what do I do for water? I don't think it's back. I think I'm saying water. I think I'm saying water. What do I do here? And why am I so convinced that it's going to be much harder to navigate there? Right? They got stores. They got filters. They got all of that. Okay. In Mexico, they'll even bring it to you. The thing this bigger than this. So this is, I looked this up. This is 6 liters. In Mexico, the man delivers it in that big thing. I don't know what that is. 25 liters maybe? They bring it to your house. You don't even have to go get it. He comes outside. He has his own little song, and you can hear him when he's coming. He comes at the same time every day. I think it was 6 pesos for 25 liters. That may or may not be right. But I remember counting out the pesos, the coins, to give to him. And he would come by and bring it to the kitchen, right? Not just to the corner. Bring it into, you go out, you tell him you want it, you want 2, you want 3, you want 4. Bring it into the kitchen. Too easy, too easy. Okay? So that's that. In my ideal world, I would not buy bottled water. And when I live here, this is not my permanent solution, right? I'll be able to get my own filtered system in my own home, even if it's just the refrigerator filter. But and I may not need it if my home is new enough and something, if I drink it and I survive, I may not need it. But my plan is not to keep buying bottled. That's not a sustainable plan. I'm aware of that. And I don't do it. It's one of the reasons that I cook with the sink water. I don't use this for everything, but I do use it when I'm drinking straight or when because the other stuff doesn't taste good. But I don't recommend living on the bottled water, right? That's not a sustainable solution. That's not the way that we want to do things long term. Although quite a few people in the US, that's how they do it today. Okay. All right, we've circled over 4 or 5 different topics today. We still have 182 of you here, so hello. If you don't mind hitting the like button before you go and say hi. Open up the chat box or the comment section and say hi if you don't mind. Got a phone. Yes, that's the thing in Mexico. You turn your thing over, stick it in there, get your water. That's how you do it. It's not a real hard thing to navigate, I promise. I promise. But you may go to the Caribbean where it's good, fresh out of the faucet. I think Bermuda told us they had good water. I know Curacao bragged on their water. I don't remember anybody in Grenada saying anything about it. I don't remember anybody in Grenada mentioning the water at all. Some places they'll tell you, we have good water. Okay, I'll take you up on that. I'll take you up on that. Okay, thank you very much for hanging out. I'll see you guys again on Saturday. I had to rearrange my guest because my guest had an amazing thing happen to her and she won a trip. My guest for Saturday won a trip and left the country and had an amazing time and came back a little under the weather or ill. I guess she came back ill. So for good reason, I don't have a guest for Saturday lined up yet, but I'll get in there and figure it out. So I can't tell you yet who's going to be the Saturday 10 a.m. guest, but somebody, probably, because it's probably not going to be just me. It's Thursday afternoon though. Somebody, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, thanks for hanging out, friends. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon or evening wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're drinking your water and preserving your peace. Somebody's trying to ring the bell. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Thanks for joining in. And also, as always, thank you for being so wonderful to each other in the chat. Okay. Take good care. Bye, guys.